So let me use it namespace as td. So if, let's say for example, I showed you that, okay, if you write an array and then you say maybe char name is gonna contain 10 letters, 10 elements. Then after that you say string, let me say name equals to, I write this string, I say master, ne? Let me say C out, but I know that before even C out, return 0. If we try to compile this, you will see that it's going to complain because it does not know what is this. Yeah. So that's why I said must be careful about it. So sometimes you can write a program. Then I told you that you can use string copy. When you use string copy, you can just write a name, comma, and then also the string that we want to add. We can say master. So now you will see that your computer, it won't complain. Your compiler, it won't complain about what we did. So if we write it now, it says what? String copy name, and okay, we wrote master there. So what is it saying? Let's check. Enter. String copy was not declared. So before that time when I was teaching, I told you that they are predefined function. So string copy is a predefined function for C string. So we use hash include. We must also add a header file hash include C string. C string. So now our computer, it will know what is string copy. So if we build our program, you can see that it understand what is string copy. You can run it, you will see that it will even output master the way it is. Can you see that? So remember, don't use the equal sign. Why am I saying don't use equal sign? I'm teaching you because the question can come in the exam. Then they ask you which one is the right format. Because you see that is written name equals to string. You say no, this one is the right one. So that's why you need to have a theory behind why you must not use master. So the other thing on this string copy that we check here, remember, if the name that we use here is more than, let's say it's return master Peter Park or Peter Parker. If we check the letters, is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. They are more than this char. So the problem, it end up making this not to be a C string anymore. So in order to use this one for copy, you must use there is another string with n. It must have an n. This n is for limit. The limit is gonna tell you how many must we take, which means we can say take 9 because we know the last element is must be for slash what? O, for a null character. So the moment when you put n, you can, n means for what? Limit. It's for setting the limit. You can write 9. You will see that it's gonna be working properly as a C string, but it won't output all those letters. It will put only 9 letters. You see that it won't say master Peter, but it will say master pet. It erase the rest of the after 10 and 11 because that's how a C string works. So behind any university level, the most important thing is to understand the theory. When you understand the theory and you know, because here in C++ you are working based on terms of L rules. There are many rules that you have to learn. You can be able to program, but if you don't follow the rules, then you might fail your exam. But you say, no, I know how to program. Every time when I program, my program works. It works, but you are not following the rules that they want. Because all the questions in your exam, they're not going to ask you only to program, but they're going to test your ability, to test if you are able, you are good, you are following the instructions that they gave you in C++ based on the level of the course or the module that you are doing. So remember, I showed you the first one with without n. Now I showed you with a string copy with n. For this string copy with n, it's to set also the limit. But you can still use that one without n, but know the difference that without the limit, it can, if you just say string copy, it can change your array for C string array not to be a C string anymore, to be just a normal array that you know. So now let's move when, now for example, you want to compare, let's say you have two strings, C strings, and you want to compare them. So someone can say, okay, if I have a two string, then I want to compare them. Let's say you have a char name. Let me use 7 because I know it's gonna be 7. I'm just gonna write master there. I said equals to, you use the, remember you use equals and when you are in the declaration of a C string, not outer. The way I showed you that you don't do it. Master. Then after that I have another char name. Char, I will just say sir. For char I said 10. I will just write 10 and then say I will use Peter. I'm using 10 is fine, don't worry about that. So now if I want to compare this, also it's the same. You don't come and say if, for example, if name equals to similar to sir, then the strings are equal. Say out equal. You don't do that. You don't do this. So you have to use a string called string compare. We have a string called string compare whereby you write it as, let me come here inside the if statement. If you want to compare them, you write it as a string compare cm. So this string compare, you can use it the same way as like that, but when you use it, you first you can write the name and then the one is sir, then you compare them. But now remember, here in this name and sir, we, if you use it this way, it's still gonna work, but it's not gonna take the limit of the elements that we need without n. So you can also add n. You say, okay, in this one I want to have it to have a limit of how many? Of 7. Let's say 6, for example. Or you can even leave it if you are sure about what you are doing, that the limit with one is not necessary. Then after that, when you compare, if these two, saying if these two, which I'm still going to emphasize a lot about why I'm saying that, if these two, your computer when it read is going to read them in terms of order called lexicographic. Lexicographic is a mathematical term where it means that it's gonna be in terms of an alphabetic order according to the dictionary. So when it use a lexicographic order, it's going to take them in terms of like order in terms of how they establish in your dictionary, English dictionary. So now when you use a lexicographic, if these are equal, is going to output 0. Let me write it this side. If they are equal, it's going to output 0. If they are not equal, it's going to output negative or positive. So if you use a bool, if they are equal, if they are not equal, it's gonna give you a -1. And if they are not equal, if you use a bool, it's going to output true. And if they're equal, it's going to output false. So that's why the first statement, when you use an if statement here, we must say see out if this is equal, then we see out the string are not the same. The string names.
Sorry for interrupting. Just check your spelling for string compare. It's written wrong.
String, okay. String compare, okay. CMP, ne?
Yeah, it's strcmp.
Yeah, this one is for concatenate, yeah. So string compare. You see what? You said it's
Just cmp. It's strcmp.
CMP. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you are right. I was using the different one for string concatenate, yeah. You will see that your C out there is gonna say the names. You can write C out the names or the string